scary chick is screaming at her. They're not doing anything
positive reinforcement
that says what their story is. Now, I do get it that this is another instance where we're going to see the world's brutality through Caesar's eyes.
Oh, yeah, we know that they're...
And that's what this moment, I would assume, is meant to be.
Let's go with that. Let's go with the fact that we're seeing Caesar's brutality as opposed to what's actually happening.
Right.
But even seeing it, even reading it is not necessarily worthwhile. So the idea is that they came across
That would be another thing. If they had drugged Caesar to make him compliant, and then he's seeing this, his vision is distorted. His experience, we're seeing it from his point of view, but it might even be bigger than to where we see like monstrous men standing over apes going do, and it's because he's drugged up a little bit or something. But it's actually happening.
That's
but
kind of
it's
a genius
made
idea
worse for him.
But there's a moment where we're talking about this. We're talking about the guys with the jumpsuits, with their pants tucked into their boots and all that kind of stuff. And I keep talking about Clockwork Orange, and I kind of wonder if some of this wasn't inspired by this kind of scenery that was happening that couldn't become a little bit more. So let me tell you what's happening.
Okay.
This is the noise conditioning cage.
Okay.
And I would not have picked up on that. I would not have picked up it was the noise conditioning cage.
No, I wouldn't have picked that up either.
This is
and
where
to be fair, Clockwork Orange was a year before, so that could have influenced.
a year
some
before.
Of this.
Maybe
one year before.
Maybe why? Yeah.
Produced probably.
For some reason, a little bit later than that.
No, it was 1 year before.
You think
they
like
probably
60s or something like that for Kubrick. Yeah.
And since this film is so quickly produced, they definitely would have seen it in the time when it's been out.
Maybe why they look like this. It was meant very intentional. So here, music deafens and strobe lights dazzle three chimpanzees.
Chimpanzees.
It's the noise conditioning cage. Here, three music deafens and strobe lights dazzle three chimpanzees.
Way!
Whose hands alternately cover their ears and eyes, like monkeys who will hear and see no evil. As the lighting steadies, a demonstration is arranged at the cage front, where young Keeper 2 is seated at a small round table. To him advances a trained chimpanzee carrying a Coke bottle within, it says et ceteras, on a tray.
Coke bottles and et ceteras.
With et ceteras. Okay, sorry.
With et ceteras.
What are et ceteras?
Every once in a while when you read it like that, it's hard to,
Et ceteras. Music reaches an ear-splintering peak as he puts a paper napkin on the table, sets the Coke bottle on the napkin, opens the bottle with an opener, inserts a straw in the bottleneck, bows, and receives a banana.
So,
music and lighting cut out abruptly.
That is really odd, though, for a writer to call music cues.
Oh, true.
Unless it's a background, like, hey, you're in a club and it's thumping.
Reason,
But to be using it like this, the music swells, that's very odd. So when you take screenwriting classes, they always tell you want to assert yourself to where the director can shoot the film no other way than what you've written. Now you're even telling the director what music to do. That's very odd.
Well, the keeper is also supposed to say, okay, again, and then music and strobe lights restart as we pan to Caesar and Handler kind of watching the scene. It was supposed to be like a noise conditioning moment where we see see apes responding to, I need to do this thing even though I'm being bothered by all these other things around. This was not this moment. This was a Clockwork Orange, like brutality moment where they're just being shoved and pushed around. Nothing's being learned by this moment.
They're not training.
I can't help but think that so Dane writes this kind of thing's going on. Let's even jump and say Clockwork Orange comes out. They start seeing the brutality of that film. They start seeing the brutality of the race riots and things that are going on truly at the time. And that's why they almost say, let's not just go for these conditioning music weird responses. Let's beat the fuck out of them because that's what we're seeing in the world right now.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, maybe that's where that decision occurs that they decided to go for it.
Man, it was hard. It is a
very brutal moment, but
hard moment to kind of get through.
But it doesn't, because then when we get to Flamethrower Guy, I have questions about what the fuck are they teaching him.
How
we'll
are you training that way?
We'll
talk about it tomorrow. Right? We only see a tease of that, but it doesn't feel like they take the moment to say, here's what's occurring in this facility, and here's what's occurring, but then here's the truth of what Caesar sees. It doesn't seem like they ever put that story together.
So you need the terrible sign that says exactly what it is?
What do you mean in that way?
Ape maintenance?
Ape conditioning?
Well, I don't mind that
conditioning. Did you need something to let the audience know what was happening at this moment?
No.
Just a little tip off?
No, I don't think so. I think that, if you look at what the three of us have said together, between music, between lights...
I think Dan wanted it to be a little more obvious than what was pushed.
But I think that it can be if instead of just disco, weird funk, jazz music, strobing lights, and beat the fuck... flamethrower, weird. There needs to be what. I'm going to jump ahead. I know we don't know. Why are you doing this?
Is it
needs
a
to make
sign?
sense.
Is it a sign on the wall that lets them know? Is it something a little more functional that's happening in the moment to let them know?
If they would have shot it today, including in the next coming minutes, it would have been Caesar on some sort of conveyor belt going past different areas. You see a screen over here that's got the noises going off, and you see apes being like showered with water or being hit with sprays of some sort just to condition them as he's going down and he's being delivered to different areas. And it wouldn't tell you what's going on. It's just been showing they're being
It'd
given
be more sensical what they're doing.
I would have loved to have seen, like to your point, Caesar getting drugged a little bit earlier.
Maybe he gets a shot of something,
and the handler that actually is doing the training have like a checklist, and the checklist lets the audience know what's going on.
That
would have worked.
Water done, fire done,
something
I think
along
to
those
Sean's
lines.
point of a conveyor belt, what I found missing in this is why is the guy not pulling him on a chain?
Oh, I mean,
why is this?
I think it's in the next couple minutes I'll be talking about stuff.
We'll talk a little more about the handler.
It's like
handler.
He's just expecting Caesar to come along, and it's like
come and join Friday.
These are
but I look at it and I keep thinking if he were that way and if you're tugging him, then that adds in the drama of him being tugged while he looks at that.
I understand these are apes that are being processed for the first time coming in from overseas, so they're supposed to be wild.
The passive nature of Caesar with his handler is the same passive nature of with Armando and Caesar at the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
You complained about the fact that Caesar was not kind of dressed up and dolled up to be a circus ape, and that he was just kind of led to these scenes. So we're seeing things from his perspective,
and I'm cool
but
with
we're
that.
not following his point of view. He's just kind of part of the gallery that's making all these things. This is what's happening right now.
I mean,
you want more from the handler, but that's not what we've seen so far in terms of the film.
You have to look at a scene like this and say, okay, if I take in something where they're being conditioned by lights and some other form of manipulation, whether that brutalization or whatever, what is it I'm hoping Caesar will perceive out of this that's different than what I got before? So go back to that scene where I was talking about when he's in that cage. We learned that he was smart enough to do it. He could assimilate and he could lead them. He could calm them. We learned things about Caesar. I'm not learning anything about Caesar other than that he's stumbling along and seeing a weird fucking place.
All right, so what if he didn't take the drugs?
Okay, like he was supposed to
like
be...
he spit him out kind of thing?
Right.
Okay.
Caesar was supposed to be...
Here,
we see
this,
the intake and they have to take something, right?
Yeah.
They take some pills or whatever. And we see Caesar consciously throw them away before he gets in this moment. And that's why he knows there's chaos happening.
And he can see the other apes being compliant.
And he can
sees
watch
what's
a little
happening.
more
That would help a little
consistently.
bit to where that would at least explain the weirdness of what's going on. But it's still...
But as a viewing audience, I'm still bothered by the weirdness, because if I hadn't read the script, I wouldn't know what the hell is going on.
Well, I think
this
that's
is supposed to be
Richard.
noise conditioning.
I think that's
I think
exactly...
it's supposed to be a little chaotic as part of it.
I do too.
It's just poorly planned that it's all happening what feels like a room the size of my kitchen to there, and over. It feels like the size of this house is where they're supposed to be training all the apes in this society.
Well, again, with what we're going to see tomorrow with Fire Guy, and then when we go into the cages later in this week where the apes are segregated out into little areas and they're having a hay throwing party. It just seems like they all kind of went, here's a bunch of crazy things that could be happening instead of here's what should be happening.
And it would have been nice to have been from Caesar's point of view in terms of like some camera shots being done, so that I feel
over his shoulder.
I feel the craziness that he's experiencing as he sees this. Instead, we're just kind of witnessing this camera shot of him of what's happening,
right,
while he's over here kind of somewhat involved and not involved.
We're seeing positive shots to him, and I know you want to say so. We never see that moment. There's such a great shot you can do from his perspective. Over his shoulder, he's maybe framed camera left.
Right.
And as he sees he's some travesty, he slowly turns to camera so we see his profile. While we see the beating going on here, but we see his profile and he's looking down and it's hurting him. Now you've put him in that situation where we 100% are tied to it.
Right.
They're just missing, and those are not hard things to do in this setup. This is, for me, this whole segment is one of the missed opportunities in this movie that I almost equate back to Beneath, where it's like a mess.
I figured out just sitting here, it feels like a Carnival Funhouse ride.
Yes.
Where you're in a limited space, so you have to go back and forth to see everything that's happening in a 5x5 room, but you have 20 exhibits to show.
But the choice of shots is not allowing us to be a part of Caesar's journey as much as just kind of like, here's some crazy shit.
Yeah, and it's just another opportunity to let us see the brutalization of apes, and I do think that's important.
This is great, though. No, this whole
it's
minute, next minute are actually really great. They're just missing that lack of
unity.
I need to feel for Caesar.
It's a Christian haunted house. If you go to a rave, you can't pick up a tray of water.
Well, I think that there's just so much.
The drugs are too good.
There's so much in this minute that needs a unifying theme. That whether that be that Sean's talking about, fine, we have a low budget film, we can't put somebody on a conveyor belt, but put them on a chain and pull them along as he sees, harken back to the first film where Taylor's getting smacked with the water, spraying at him. You could almost do what was seen in those first films and echo it.
This was frightening shit as a kid, though. This was frightening as shit.
I'm telling you,
let's be quite honest. I'm saying, let me be honest. I was expecting at some point in this whole time when they're here to Caesar to accidentally mutter to himself, "This is a madhouse."
Well, and it wouldn't be a bad idea if he did that. What's funny is that I really expected this whole week to be the three of us going, there's not a lot happening. Every one of these episodes, we're on Wednesday. We're once again approaching 30 minutes on this. But I think that's it. I think that it's not a bad minute. It does not make the movie fall apart.
It could be done so a lot better.
You could have added so much contextually to it that would have just upped it. This film is a very interesting idea. Again, you juxtapose it against what's going on with race riots at that time. And I see why it was controversial, why they cut time out of this film, because they were afraid that it would incite people's anger. This is some pretty scary shit to be doing this and taking a group of individuals, albeit animals according to the people, brutalizing them, demeaning them, putting them in place.
And they have done nothing wrong or to deserve
this. We're 22 minutes into this film, and I have found nothing of joy at all. And I don't mean liking it.
Maybe we'll conquer that at some point.
I don't mean not liking the film. I mean, it's a
very bleak movie.
I am being beaten down. This is a hard movie.
You haven't had any bright, sunny shots.
No.
It's been all cities and hard
turtleneck,
no greenery.
No bright eyes.
No bright eyes. No.
I don't think you're going to get any of that. This is a hard movie all the way through. Yeah. So much so that I was just reading the other day as I was looking ahead to the next one that I think it was Arthur P. Jacobs that sent out and said the next movie will not be that dark.
Yeah.
He pretty much knew this was a hard movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't think we have anything else. We can sit here and go on and on about this. I think everyone gets it. This is a good moment. It just needs a unifying. What is it that Caesar's supposed to be taking from this? What is he seeing? A little more thought to that would have really helped it resonate a little bit deeper. Anything else?
That's it for me.
All right, that's minute 23 in the books. I'm not going to go on. We've been going long enough. So, everyone, have a good day.
All right, see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
The minute of the Apes.